unbelievable. Okay. Okay. I think I hit it. So we should be going now. Okay. So yeah, Matt, I mean, as far as this one goes, I don't really want to approach it necessarily the same way as the other ones, if that's okay with you. I kind of wanted to be a little more creative and maybe try to build into kind of, instead of having an opening offer necessarily, because it's a first meeting, I was wondering if we could just kind of, I wanted to just ask some questions and just kind of establish, kind of see where we're at, because it's our first meeting hypothetically.
Yeah.
And I just kind of wanted to build that up, and then we'll get to an offer down the road one day, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we'll
Okay,
do that.
because otherwise I feel like it's just a little bit disrespectful, because it's coming, from without knowing the other person anyway whatsoever, and not being able to, understand your background at all. I don't want to, overlook something there. So.
Right.
Kind of,
Oh, yeah, I think it's good.
Okay. Well, if you don't mind, just reading through it, I just had a couple of questions, if you don't mind, and if you want to go back and forth,
Okay.
by all means. I mean, if you have something, before we even get started, do you mind? I hate to be the guy who just kind of takes control.
No, that's fine. No, we can do it and knock it out. That's no problem at all.
Absolutely. Just be as respectful as possible. I mean, I don't want you to feel like I'm rushing through it, but I also don't want to waste any time either, to be as
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
Beautiful. So, I was reading through the notes from my predecessor, and he was saying, or she, I don't want to say it's 2020, equal opportunity, but I don't remember if they were saying that they'd suggested hiring additional sales staff in the past, and then I noticed it still hasn't been done. And I'm just curious, has that even been communicated with you? Sometimes I've worked in the past with people who said they said something and it never got communicated. So as far as like growing the sales staff, is that something that's even been on your radar? Was it communicated in the past?
It was mentioned a little bit before.
Okay.
The way some economic things have been that have changed.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that they were kind of having got into it, and there's a couple smaller reasons, and just the way the area is, and the way the government's kind of set up as far as growing too big or something like that. So it does kind of limit us some way, the culture.
So it's within our best interest to stay under a certain threshold.
Yeah, right now we kind of feel like that. There's a younger staff group there that's ready to take another step and do more, and that would probably be the way to grow it, as opposed to growing it number wise.
So just to spitball ideas, if they're a younger staff, and we have, I want to get the most out of them. Would it be feasible to possibly consider maybe some type of training for them? I mean, if we have
they're
budget,
So there's like a group that's kind of like a main group, and then there's a younger group that's kind of been supporting them, and that
Matt, sorry you broke up. You said there was a younger group supporting them. Was that? I think that was kind of the part where I lost.
it's kind of like a group that's more senior, that has been around for a while, and then we have a younger group that helps support them, and that younger group's kind of ready to do more, take on more responsibility.
Okay.
So kind of feel like maybe that's the way to grow it, as far as give them more and let kind of grow it that way, as opposed to
So if we did that, we could still develop those younger people maybe to get what we're going to get as that 3 production that we would maybe get from 3 experienced people. And then we might have people that would be better in the long term.
Right.
Is that kind of what you're seeing going there?
Yep.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, that makes total sense. I mean, I'm with you on that part. I personally love hiring from within. Okay. I think that's how you build continuity. I think that's how you build value, and without using too much outside of the paperwork here, good times and bad times. That's why you do it. So I like that one. That's awesome.
Okay.
Cool. So I'm just going to put younger staff ready to step up. So the other question that I have is, it looks like, and I don't know who this person is, Mr. Jose Martinez, Miguel Martinez. Supposedly, they tell me that he's your brother and that he has the second highest salary. So I'm just gonna kind of not presume anything. Like I said, it's my first time. I don't know who anybody is, and before I come to any kind of conclusion, I just kind of want to know, what does Jose do? Quite honestly, his relationship to you has no bearing to me whatsoever. It's about his production for the company.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, he is my brother, but he does a lot of the managing roles that frees me up to do more of the sales side. That's a little bit more of my experience as far as having the company. So it's almost like he kind of does the kind of like the day-to-day managing of it.
So I would put him, if we were just going to define a company, he'd be the COO, essentially. Kind of an operator.
Right,
He
something
lets
like
you pick
that, right?
everything.
CEO, right?
Well, how's he been doing with that, honestly? I mean, I see he was a previous teacher is the reason I asked that. I don't want to presume he's doing a bad job. The economy's tanking. That's not his fault. So, I mean, I'm not trying to, throw anything there. But as far as like, has he developed? Has he grown? Is he getting better? That's just something I would expect from anybody in that position.
Right, right. No, yeah, I think he's getting better. I think it's something where I think he's still pretty young at the position, but I think he has the right mentality and the right skills as far as being a manager or helping lead the company in the right direction. So it's something where I think with the culture down here.
I think everybody's using the internet right now. I think the internet's just getting a little bit overwhelmed on there, Matt. I'm sorry. But you were saying he was really important to the culture down there?
Yeah, I think the culture down here is family oriented. That is um, probably one thing in this country that's probably a little bit more sacred, but a little bit more, especially working with, I guess, respected in our culture. But yeah, as far as leadership wise, no issues with them.
That's awesome, though. I mean, as long as, honestly, I think sometimes just having a team that's all pulling the same direction is hard to find.
Right.
But, when it comes to that as well, I'm also just going to say on my radar screen, if you are the second highest salary, I think there might need to be more of a profit share type of situation where he might be just having a little bit more base and go a little bit more on the commission side to be equal partners with us in this, just because and I've been doing it for about 20 years. So I got a lot of experience working with this. And
Hmm.
the more hands we have all rowing the boat on that commission team, that's going to be great for all of us. But we kind of need to be, and I'll get to this point later as far as, like compensation goes and the way it's structured, because I think the way y'all did it, I respect how creative it was. It was different, but I think I also see what's worked in our industry for the last 20 years.
Right.
And I want this to be both. I want your culture. I want you to have your family. I want you to have your team. I want you to be able to develop the young people from within. But I also want to help you find a structure that helps all of that get done in a way that 20 years from now, you're talking to somebody else about what they need to be doing to be successful 20 years. In the same way we're going to trade roles is what I'm saying, essentially. So I want you to be able to learn all the tools to not only be doing what we're doing today, but to grow the pie. I don't want to be the type of person who's like, oh, we're trying to take a piece away from, Josh and move it over to Matt or do anything like that. I really want it to be more of, let's get more pie for everybody. So
Right.
that's where I'm coming from whenever I tell you, suggestions or anything else like that. I know this is only our first meeting, and I hope to God it's not going to be our last. I'm looking forward to it. I really enjoy working together. And if we do want these same things, and I love to promote people from within, I love our family, time as much as possible too. So I see a lot of similarities more than I see difference.
Okay. Yeah. No, I
I think we're
agree.
doing awesome there. And moving on to that, if you don't mind, can we just go into? I see the way, and this is my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but for the company president, VP, salespeople, and trainers, they're getting 9% of the commission, and then the receptionist and a finance person are even included in the commission.
So yeah, let me go back. I just want to
I'm
double
looking
check.
at like sales staff compensation as a category, if that helps any.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like a commission pool. Um, yeah, salespeople in training personnel receive 9% of the pool. Receptionist and finance person each receive 5%. Um, which a receptionist kind of thing, that's kind of almost like a help do whatever it takes kind of role as far as that goes. I think the receptionist is uh, still a vital part. I don't think it's nothing like that.
And y'all love everybody. I'm not going to argue with you. It's almost impossible when you have a small team to be able to separate who's important and who's not. Everybody's important in a small team.
Right, right.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't want you to think, before I even say anything about anybody, I don't want you to think that it's never the person that I'm talking about, it's the position. Because I
right,
love all the people. I wish nothing but the best for everybody. I think karma's real. But I also know that in order to protect the business and to, make sure that we have, if we had, let's say, 7 out of 8 people instead of 8 people, well, 7 people will be protected better. It is kind of my mentality there. So I'm not trying to, attack any one person. And maybe there's a way that we could reassign somebody into a role that generates revenue. And we can do something there that might be able to, there's no reason we have to say goodbye to anybody. I mean, we have too many options ahead of us. And I just think there's too much there too much value. If you've been there and that long and you've built that relationship with people, I think there's a way we can find to use you. And
okay,
like I
yeah,
was
yeah.
saying,
I knew
I mean, earlier, I was just thinking, we're looking for a trainer already for the younger salespeople. So, I mean, before we even get any there's no reason to be negative. We're trying to grow. But
right.
in this case, we're in a great situation. So there's nothing but opportunities there. But I do, I wonder whenever, the reason I ask you about those percentages of commission, what was where'd that idea come from, or who did you steal it from, or kind of what was the logic behind including the receptionist and the finance person into commission? Because if I'm a finance person, reception, that seems almost risky, and I know it's equally beneficial, but I'm trying to minimize our costs.
Right. Yeah, I think the commission pool is something that's more in our culture,
Okay.
where everybody kind of works together versus working against each other. So that's kind of where more of that came from.
No, I'm glad you keep mentioning culture, because I'm going to be honest with you. I went all the way through all my notes. I didn't say anything about culture in all 5 pages. So I really do think that is something that, while we're both in North America, I mean, the family side and, the commitment. I mean, I just think it kind of is a little better back there, in Mexico sometimes. So I appreciate you keep saying that to me. Please don't stop. And that's interesting. I think there's a difference between revenue generators and people who cost you money. And I just think, for one, I mean, we don't even have receptionists at our places this size. So, that's all part of it. But we're going to find a way to make this team amazing. I mean, you
Yeah.
guys do talented job. I mean, we saw the results immediately. I mean, to see the initial results be as successful as they were before the economy turned, I mean, I can't fathom any kind of reason not to move forward. It'd be crazy.
Right. Right.
And then my other area I wanted to ask you about, my friend. So in the Guadalajara operation, it seems like, and this is just my, 30,000 foot opinion, it seems like we might be a little bit out of control, because if we have 5 employees budgeted, and the notes I have say that you approved to 10, to help, cover up the shortage.
Oh,
But
it kind of, what was that? What was that last part you said there?
oh, I'm sorry. I heard there was two temps, or I read that there was the two temporary employees that we were using to cover up our shortages. But it looks like the shortages are caused by absenteeism.
Let's see.
This
Okay.
is this, like I said, this is just my side. That's all I've heard so far. So correct me where I'm wrong, or fill in the blanks, or help me out, please.
Let me take a look and see as far as. I'm just going back through looking at my staff numbers.
Take your time. Oh, I'm not in a hurry. I do the same thing. So by all means, excuse me.
Yeah, right now the only thing I see, my um, my regular group that kind of what I started with, and then the smaller people I'm kind of bringing up through to grow the company that way. Um, which they're going to take on more responsibility. Growing the staff more is a little bit more difficult with this culture because the laws down here require certain bonuses, and if we grow too much too fast, it can be bad in the with the employees as far as getting them to hire back on with the laws and stuff. So it kind of gives you a kind of a bad name. Let's see. Yeah, there's the three newest sales people are ready to go to get new business, kind of more on their own. And then I kind of mentions more of I would rather prefer to spend more money on advertising and promotions to help with the leads that way versus growing the number of staff.
What are we spending right now on ads and promotion?
Um,
I didn't see it, honestly. I don't disagree with you, but I don't have it on my side for the Mexico or even on mine.
it doesn't show me the number itself. Let's see. Alan, the guy before,
Yeah.
I wanted to increase the number. He wasn't really for increasing any expenses.
See, that's where I feel like, and I feel like working with you, Alan. I don't know what the heck Alan did, but there's a reason he left the whole industry. You know what I mean? He didn't get promoted up to another sales job somewhere else.
Right.
I've been doing it for 20 years, so I don't know what the heck Alan was doing. But
I mean, we got
it
burned
seems
out.
like y'all were on totally different pages. Like he was speaking English and you were speaking Spanish. And I mean, like he didn't understand the culture. I don't see any notes about culture in any of Alan's notes. And not to badmouth somebody, but let's build a bridge where we can. And I mean, I don't know what the heck Alan was doing. So, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Cool. So what I'm saying is, were there any other ideas that you wanted to pursue that Alan didn't even write down? Or like, what were something that you wanted to do besides increasing the ads and promotions?
Well, I think add the promotions probably a little bit. I think the big thing that we're kind of looking at was right now the most we can go off of is discounting sales by 10%, and we feel that if we get that higher, that would be better.
How high do you want to go? If 10% is not enough, what's the What's a number you could really live with? Just when it was cutting out. Sorry.
Oh, can you hear me?
Now I can.
That's
I can
okay. No,
hear the important
okay.
part. Sorry.
I think that right now it's the discounts that we get that we're allowed to give is 10% off.
Yeah.
And if we can get that to go up higher to like a 30%.
Man, I'm not going to triple it right now. But, I mean, to act in good faith, I don't want to leave you with nothing on the table here either. So, my boss is saying my team's not going to be happy with more than 15. So, I can do 15. I'm not going to tell you it's everything. We know it's not. But if I see it trending the right direction, then I can justify maybe going 5 more. And then we can see where we find that magic number.
Right.
So how would you feel about today? We do up that number. This is step 1, but we're going to up it to 15% for now with the chance to reevaluate in a month, and we'll see how we're doing from there. How's that sound?
So start with 15 and possibly going up from there.
Yeah, like that's what we're going to do today, but
Okay.
that's not going to be I'm willing to keep listening to get closer to 30. But, going from 10 to 30 is just, come on. I mean,
Right.
it's like tripling your salary. You know what I mean? With all due respect, we all want to do it, but going up by 5% is going up 50% already. Not 300%, but I will go up 50%. I feel like that's more than reasonable as far as just a start. That's not going to be the only thing we're doing. So, I mean, how about just starting to put together, kind of a rough outline of how we'll move forward, if that's okay with you, my friend. But we'll go from a 10% discount to 15%. Being reevaluated in a month, potentially increasing to 20.
Okay.
This 20 is right down the middle. Because
Right.
you wanted 30, we wanted 10. My number I want to get to is 20.
Right. I could do 20. That would put us in a good spot for me to go back to my employees and show that the company's really.
Well, that's the thing too, is I hope there's a way, I want our negotiation here to, also build into y'all's culture down there. Because
Right.
I want to be seen as a team player. So I want to make sure that the decisions that
if we do 15 and then a chance to get to 20
15
in the near future.
If I see the increase at 15, then I'll increase it again to get to 20. How's that sound? I apologize, man.
No, I get it. I know I think there's so many people are on this site. There's so many things.
Hey, as long as we don't get sick, I'll be okay. I promise.
Right. That's it. Yeah.
But, so where I was, at least before.
I think another thing, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Go ahead.
I think another thing that's important as far as, I guess the other thing is just the way we're getting paid now. I guess the commission maybe kind of structured somewhat differently. Not a whole lot, but just I guess somewhat a little bit different.
How would you want to do it if it was up to you?
Now,
I could tell you from my experience, but I also want this to be a team thing. I don't want to be the one who's telling you what to do the whole time. You know what I mean?
Right.
But what do you think you should do to restructure the compensation?
Let me go back and see exactly how we want to do it. We get more of like sales of the CDs themselves versus like the money itself. So we feel like if we give a discount or something like that, it really cuts into our sales or our revenue a lot. There's some way we can try to counter that.
Yeah.
Just the way the economy has been lately, to sell these CDs at 900 pesos is real difficult.
I got you. If you were in my shoes, what would be like the best offer you could get? Because I agree, but I think that it's more fundamental than basing it on CDs. Because I mean, with all due respect, I would just call them widgets because it really doesn't matter what you're selling. But I
Right.
think that you guys should restructure it so your salespeople get it based directly on their own sales a little bit more. Because I think that the culture down there, I used to work for a company where when we cut the grass, I used to be the guy who did the most work. And everybody else on the team used to tell me, Josh, why are you doing all that work? It all pays the same. So I'm afraid of that being a cultural thing that can be unintentionally included if everybody is sharing from the same pool. Because I think there's probably salespeople that could even do a little bit better. Probably your best one, but they
Right.
probably hold back a little bit because they're getting paid pretty much the same as everybody else.
Right.
And I
I,
think
I'd be
as the
willing.
director and the boss of the whole office, that's what you need to find a way that they buy into the most that can do that. Because I would love to answer that for you, but this is my first time getting to know you. And if I tell you what to do, I don't have that answer that's going to have them understand it in a way that's not in a negative, but it's going to be enhancing. And I think they're going to be great. But I really think the number one thing I want to see is I just want their own sales to be just slightly more independent to kind of make it a little bit more competitive. I know culturally we're all on the same team, and that's where maybe if we hit a common goal as an office, then we get an office bonus, but the commission would go back on their sales based on how much they kill it. Because I've seen it in 20 years. Just every office, if the people don't get direct compensation for their effort, they're just gonna do what they need to do to be average and go home. So I hate to say that, but I mean that's just my experience telling me that more than I love people.
Yeah, I get if we want to change it to where it's more individual based.
Yeah.
I can see that as far as the pushing them a little
But
bit.
I also think to stick with the cultural part for you guys, I think that also as long as we had like a unit bonus, like okay, if you're running a kitchen and you get an outstanding award or something, maybe everybody gets a portion of that. I think that's something that we could keep the culture to where everybody's in it together and you can have equal celebrations and you can do, if there's maybe you want to spend time together because you guys are, close knit team, you're a pretty small group. I don't know,
Right.
maybe you want more time apart, maybe you want more time together. I don't know. But then you could kind of find a way that would celebrate in a way that would, by doing those group celebrations as group celebrations and not just commission checks, I think
Mm-hmm.
you could find a way to really build some long-term value within the team to really be able to keep building what you're already building. I mean, you guys have incredibly low turnover, almost too low, some would say, but I don't know the culture as well as you do for the area. And I know the staffing situation and we don't want to grow too fast, but what I do want to see us do is become more consistent. And I know the economy it's a challenge, but everybody boss is always going to say this too. It's just that we have to be our best at all times. So
Right.
it's never personal. And that's what you want to. I mean, we all need that sometimes. I never say this to, make somebody feel like they're not doing a great job. I've seen y'all's numbers, seen your effort. It's amazing. There's a reason you guys have the jobs you have and you're very good at it. But I also want to just, without being too, rude about it and just, I'm going to put all the cards on the table because I think the most respectful thing you can do with somebody is be honest with them is that, I do have that opportunity if necessary at the end of the year. If we don't see you guys kind of step it up in these directions to where, we'll just buy the company back. So,
Right.
and I don't want to do that because I want to grow a bigger pie. Like I said, I don't want a
Right.
bigger piece. I want a bigger pie. So I don't want to do that, but
Yeah,
I
if we
feel
could,
like we're on the same page. I feel like we're going to be successful. I just don't want to leave anything off the table and surprise you with telling you that in, 3 months or something else. Hold on. Here we go again. Okay, now we're back. Can't hear you though. Sorry, man. Audio. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay, now we're back.
So if we, I think if we change the bonus to where, or I mean, the commission
Yeah.
more individual based. Um, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't see you. It's just froze up. Well, not anymore. Okay. Oh boy. Come on. Now we're back.
On the same page. I think we could just run through it real quick here and
Yeah,
get taken care of.
perfect.
If I'd be good if we keep the staff kind of that same size. If we can get the discount at 15 and then possibility growing it to 20. And
Sure.
then if we move the individual sales goals to try to motivate the team more, and then and then I think I think that'd be fine as far as trying to get more of them that way. Maybe like I said, maybe a a small base, and then they can go. The more they make, the more the team makes, kind of thing. But it's kind of more on them individually too.
I think that's what we're trying to do there, and I think you're exactly right, and I couldn't agree with you more. And thank you for doing that. Is that we're trying to make this so it's competitive. We're on
Right.
the same team, and we are family, and we take care of each other. But by God, I want to beat the heck out of my brother. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what you want right there. And that's what it is. It's just backyard basketball, brother or sister, mano a mano. Love for each other the whole time. But if they get better, it helps the other side. And I think that's where we're coming from. And I just wanted to be competitive in the right way.
Right.
And I think y'all are going the right direction. The only thing I would say as far as the staffing goes, I got no problem keeping things the way they are, but we're going to move the receptionist, who's the team player, who's, one of those rock stars you have. And we're going to let them be a trainer for some of these younger people. So we'll get that receptionist, and it'll be virtual. We're not going to make them go anywhere out of town or do anything crazy. But while they're at the office, we'll have them training, and we'll talk about how we can get the most out of this team too. Because if we still have it in the budget to increase our salespeople number, I want to get the most out of those younger people that you see a future in, and see if that's going to work out. Because if they can, let's let them do it. But if
Right.
it's not going to work out, I also need to know that. And
Right.
I'm not pulling the plug early. You know what I mean? I just want to see, are they still enthusiastic about it? Do they hate their job? Do they want to get the heck out of there? We'll know
Right.
that pretty early.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. So I feel like other than that, I don't really have much else. Is there something that I'm
Yeah.
missing, my friend?
No, I mean, if we could price this stuff, I know sometimes right now we're pricing stuff out of the US dollar. If
Yeah.
I could price it more in pesos, that would probably help us just in case like the dollar value changes.
No, I completely agree. And that's the reason why I want to stay partners so long, is that, I mean, I can't be an expert at two things. And, you're staying there. I want this to be successful. I saw how amazing it worked out at the beginning, and I think you're going to be there. I just
Right.
think that there's two things that, we can all add to each other. You can teach me about the Mexican culture and have an amazing team, and I can teach you about experience. And I think that if you put experience and your local knowledge together, that's the recipe for success. So hopefully. You there, my friend?
Mm,
Welcome back. Sorry. I didn't know.
yeah, I know the internet's
Yeah.
struggling to get through.
We all are, but
Right.
yeah. But I think we got the strokes, to the deal. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, if we get that over to pesos, and then I think that's really the last kind of hurdle I was looking at.
I think we're getting there. And I think that honestly, what I also want to leave with is let's do this more often. I like to have, more regular conversations with people
Right.
because I think it's very hard to give bad news to somebody you barely know.
Right.
And I think the good news is easy, but I want to set up for the bad news.
Yeah.
And I think that that's, and that's just from 20 years of experience. I mean, everybody loves to tell you when things are going wonderful, but when things are going bad, you can't hide your eyes, my friend. You know
Right.
what I mean? And I just want to be able to do that. And I want to be able to keep growing. And I want you guys to teach me things. And I want this to be a two-way street. I never want it to be let's go listen to, the U.S. talk again to everybody about how much smarter they are than everybody.
Yep.
No. So that's not it. But is there any way I could talk you into sending me a copy of the final notes, the contract?
Yeah.
Cool. And then I'll just use that same one to submit if you don't mind.
Okay.
So you want
So
me to end the recording? We good? And then we'll chat afterwards.
yeah, no, I think we're good. I think we got a good
I
idea what we're doing and
agree.
what we're looking at.